Welcome to another episode of Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, Real Live with the Real Secrets of Money with your host, myself, Damon J. Brockenberry, the extraordinary, also known as Damon the Agent, aka Broker DTA. Now, today is Friday, February 13th, Friday the 13th. Hope many of you all are not superstitious because it's just a date. But for those of you who like a good scary movie, there are plenty of Friday the 13th more movies out there. As always, as we begin my show, I want to first thank you all for joining me. Second of all, I would like for each and every one of you all to follow me on all social media platforms, beginning with Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Threads, Snapchat, TikTok, Pinterest, and YouTube. I thank you all for joining me. And as always, I like to jump into the wonderful world of real estate. Hold on. Yes, I like to jump into the wonderful world of real estate. Now, my topic this week is going to be the pros and cons of renting versus buying. The reason why I want to talk about this, and I've talked about it one time before in the past, I want to talk about it because there's been a lot of stuff coming up when it pertains to people renting out there. So I just want people to be totally aware. First of all, I like to explain the pros of buying. Now, number one, when you're buying a property, you build equity. Each payment chips away at the loan instead of disappearing, compared to when you're renting and you're just constantly paying and you get no investment. Number two, when you're buying, you have a stable monthly payment for a fixed rate loan. Your principal interest don't just go like rent often does. Great hedge against inflation. Number three, there's a benefit when it pertains to tax advantages. Mortgage interest and penalty taxes may be deductible depending on income and filing status. Okay. Potential capital gains exclusions when you sell, though. Number four, you have freedom and control when you're actually buying a property. You can renovate, you can paint, you can rent a room out, you can actually rent the house, you can install what you want, such as solar panels. There are no landlord rules when you actually own a home compared to when you do rent. Number five, there is a long-term wealth strategy when it pertains to buying a home. As you all know, such as our president, Donald Trump, has built his wealth on real estate investment. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist in order to build wealth. You just have to know what to do. One of the easiest ways is just buying home, because historically homeowners outperform renters financially over the long period, such as when there's a what do you call it? Breakdown in the economy, when we have a recession, when there are things to that nature. Now, the cons of buying, and this happens to a lot of people, number one, there's a high up cost front sometimes with the down payment and closing costs, depending on price point, depending on location, depending on your loan amount, and depending on what your savings actually are. Down payment, closing costs, inspections, and appraisals can total thousands of dollars that sometimes people don't have up front. Now, can easily be anywhere from 3 to 7% of the purchase price, just depending on the purchase price and the negotiation of the contract. Another con is the maintenance and repair. Some people like to rent because they feel like they don't want to worry about the maintenance and repair, but there is a way to get around that. Home warranties are a perfect way to get around that, because when you have a home warranty on your property, if you call a home warranty company, you just pay a deductible and they'll send out whatever it is you need to be done, such as if you have plumbing issues, they'll send out a plumber. If you have electrical issues, they'll send out an electrician, et cetera, et cetera. Now, there's less flexibility It's harder to relocate quickly when you are own a home. Like so, unless you decide to rent that home out. Now, the market risk, meaning market goes up and down. So sometimes people who buy homes, they say, "Oh, I want to sell, I want to earn this amount," but the market can shift on you. Just like right now, we are in a buyer's market. So for those people who bought a home back when it was a seller's market, saying, "Okay, I want to keep a home X amount of years and then sell it," it depends on which market we're in. Sometimes this timing plays a huge role. Now, when it pertains to renting, here are the pros and cons of renting. Number one, there's flexibility. Easy to move for work, lifestyle, or family changes. Ideal if you're unsure about your long term location. Number two, lower upfront costs, usually just first month rent and security deposits when you are moving into a rental, along with there are no closing costs and no down payments. Number three, there's predictable expenses. Maintenance and repairs equals the landlord's problems, meaning they're not your problem if the plumbing goes bad or the HVAC goes out or anything. The landlord is supposed to deal with that. Number four, access to amenities. Gyms, pools, concierge security without paying for them up front. These are beneficial for people who like to rent. Now, here are some cons, okay? And I really want to talk about these cons. Number one, you don't build equity when you're renting. For example, if you live in a property 2 or more years, really 1 or more year, you're paying the landlord's mortgage, but at the same time, you're helping the landlord gain equity in their property where that money can be invested into your own property and you could be gaining equity. So let's say if you stay in a property for 2, 3, 4, 5 years and you decide to move, once you've invested all those time, as I mentioned with the principal and interest, what ends up happening is when you move, you've gained the equity. Now you can take that with you compared to when you're renting, you don't. Two, rent increase every year when you're renting, no matter where you at. Most landlords are trying to maximize their property. They're going to try to take advantage. That's why sometimes some of these properties, when it pertains to how much it costs to rent, the prices are outstanding and sometimes ridiculous. Sometimes if you just look at how much you're paying for rent, if you buy a home, you will get more home for that price of what you're paying for rent. But people don't seem to understand that concept. So it's easier. You're limited control because sometimes landlords don't want pets. You might have a big dog. It depends on where you want to move to. You might want to move in a school district where your kids go to. They don't want you to have pets, certain pets. They may not allow you to paint. They may not allow you to do any renovations. And some of them have restrictions on subleasing. Number four, there's less long-term financial upsides when you're renting. A lot of times there's no appreciation or tax benefits for the renter. So when it pertains to which is better, buying makes more sense, especially if you plan to stay 3+ years. You want to build long-term, you're comfortable handling maintenance, and you have stable income and savings. But here's another con that I want to talk about when it pertains to renting. A lot of times when you go into a property and you're renting, and let's say if you plan on staying there 1, 2 years or whatever, you have to also make sure that the landlord, well, you can't make sure, but you have to hope that the landlord is actually paying their mortgage. Otherwise, the property could be going into foreclosure. I just got a phone call earlier this week where someone reached out to me because they were trying to locate the alleged landlord and people pertaining to the property. They rented the property on December 26th of last year. And they found out the first week of February that the house was going into foreclosure and that the house had been going into foreclosure since January of 2025. So what I say is that's a con when you're renting because sometimes the landlord can be paying on time and then they can decide to just stop paying and you can continuously pay them and not know what's going on because everything goes to the landlord and you're in the blind. So when situations occur like this, you're in a catch-22. Now, like I explained to that person, if the property gets a sell date, normally what the banks do is they always send people out to the property to see if anyone's living in it. If someone is living in it, they will slap on the door a notice to vacate. Now, if they don't get a notice to vacate, they can stay in the property, but it's unfortunate, they only can stay in the property until they get that notice to vacate because once a sale date comes and if someone buys it, then they're going to have to move. But it's just a total unfortunate situation because this happens many times. It's not something that happens once in a blue moon. It happens a lot these days because you have a lot of people who buy more than one home. They have their forever home. And then because they have their forever home, they don't care about the rental property. They take out all the equity out the home. They collect that money. Sometimes they live in another state. They've moved. They don't care what predicament they put people in. It's unselfish and totally bad because people don't care about people. A lot of times people only care about money. And they don't know you personally. They don't care nothing about you. Sometimes your credit could be terrible. And you be like, Dad, this landlord gave me the opportunity to move in and my credit at a 500. And you didn't gave him a lump sum money. So what you have to understand is there are a lot of properties that go through that phase when people are renting. The landlord hadn't paid the mortgage. The tenants continuously pay. The tenants find out months later or even a year later that the house is going into foreclosure. That's a huge, huge con whenever you are renting a home. So please keep that in mind. Now, like I said, in the beginning, the landlord can be paying the mortgage, but anything can happen during the term of your renting. So when it pertains to renting versus buying, it's more favorable to buy, period. I understand renting is more convenient, and sometimes people don't have the upfront costs with the down payment and closing costs, but they have programs to assist and help people in that. And in the current market, whenever it's a buyer's market, that is definitely the market you want to buy in, because you as a buyer, you have so much leverage that you can basically ask the sellers to do a lot. You can ask them to pay your closing costs. You can ask them to buy down your rate. And depending on how motivated the seller is, in some cases, that will actually happen, which means less money out of your pocket as a buyer. You just have to qualify for the loan and have some money for the down payment. Now, here's another thing. In many cases, your first month in security deposit when you rent is more than what your down payment would be, depending on your price point. It depends on your price point, but it's sometimes equivalent to it or slightly above. I'm just explaining that if you have to move and you're deciding between renting and buying, look to see if you qualify to buy first, because you never know what's going on when it pertains to renting in some of these houses. So I'll be back with my Q&A, my questions and answers. All right, thank you for joining me. All right, my Q&As, which is my questions and answer, is for people who are always submitting me questions. And I have one person who submits me questions every week. I want to thank her for asking all these questions because these are great questions. I don't know if she Googled these questions, asked her friends or whatever, but she asked me a lot of good questions. Question number one. Now, for those who don't know, I'm in the Maryland, D.C., Virginia area. So this question says, which county in Maryland has the lowest property taxes? Which county in Maryland has the lowest property taxes? Now, here's the thing. Maryland is a big state. I understand I'm in the DMV area because taxes in Prince George's County, which is right outside D.C., is amongst the highest. Between Prince George's County and Baltimore County are amongst the highest taxes in the state of Maryland. But in the state of Maryland, Somerset County has the lowest taxes. It has the lowest median dollar amount paid in taxes. The next one is Garrett County, which is also in the state of Maryland. And then Talbot County. Those are the top three that have the lowest taxes in the state of Maryland. Number two, is it best to work with a lender? Hold on. Is it best to work with a lender a realtor frequently works with? Is it best to work with a lender a realtor frequently works with? Yes, this is a great question, and let me be honest with you. It can be helpful, but it's not always the best. And let me explain why. First of all, most realtors and lenders, sometimes they form a relationship and they know how to work together as far as getting the buyer approved. Now, what I always strongly suggest is get approved by one or more lender. If you want to go through that realtor or that lender and just deal with them exclusively, that's fine. If you want more than one opinion, get more than one opinion. Now, the pros is familiarity can make the process smoother and communication can make it faster. The lender may understand local market, tempo, and common financing quirks in the area. The realtor and lender can coordinate more easily, especially on timelines and documentation. Now, the con is a lender your realtor always uses might not have the best interest rate, lowest fees, or strongest program for your specific financial situation. You might miss out on competitive options by not shopping lenders. This is why a lot of times when people come to me, I give them more than one lender in most cases, because of the fact is I let them speak to them, because everything's not for everybody. So normally 2 to 3 lenders, but normally sometimes I get 5 lenders. It just depends. Question number 3, who pays the realtor fee at closing, buyer or seller? This is a great question. Now, if anyone knows, there was a lawsuit that a lot of people had to change how we did business as real estate professionals. In today's market in the DMV areas, a lot of sellers still pay for the real estate commission, but the buyer are responsible. So in some cases, I've had buyers who did not want to see a property if the seller was not paying the real estate commission. And to be truthful, some sellers will try not to pay the maximum like they used to. So in many cases, like I said, both buyers and sellers pay the commission. Now, real estate commissions used to be traditionally paid by the seller. In many transactions, they still are, especially because sellers factor this into pricing. However, buyers are responsible for calling out and agreeing to any compensation paid to that agent under their buyer-broker agreement. And that is what's normally signed before you start working with a real estate professional. But in many cases, like I said, sellers still pay for. Question number 4. Can a realtor negotiate with the bank when a property is going into foreclosure? Can a realtor negotiate with the bank when a property is going into foreclosure? The short answer is no. A realtor cannot legally negotiate. The reason being is, especially in the state of Maryland, they changed these laws years ago. Because here's the thing. Let's say me as a real estate professional, I'm going on 21 years, and you get a who got 1 year. Who you think got more experience? So just because we're real professional doesn't mean we're necessarily experienced in negotiating with the bank. So because so because a lot of people have lost their homes due to the fact they're expecting the realtors to do certain things, legally a real estate person cannot do that. However, real estate professionals can assist in navigating in certain things, such as helping with getting comps, as such as helping the homeowners to, write a hardship letter, things of that stuff. But to be truthful, they can't negotiate on or talk to the bank on their behalf, not legally, because banks normally want to deal with the seller. They want their money. And at the same time, unless you have an offer that's going to cover the amount the bank wants, what they want to talk to a realtor for? No. You got to get a lawyer, to be honest with you in that case. So again, always great questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them to me so I can answer them just like I'm doing right now with this person. These questions are amazing. I greatly and I thank you for and appreciate them. So I'll be right back with my topic of the day. Before I go, I wanted to just mention to you about an annuity. Okay, this is a financial product that some people don't understand or know how it works. An annuity is a long-term contract between you and an insurance company designed to provide a steady, guaranteed stream of income, primarily during retirement, but not exclusively just at retirement. Sometimes there are many people who actually hit the lottery who, if they pulled a lump sum into an annuity, they would get paid for life. Okay, but people don't think about that. The reason why I'm bringing this up to you is because I think people need to be more aware about these financial products that will help you and your money grow over time. If you would like to know more about annuities and the different types of annuities and which may be beneficial to you, please reach out to me because there are several. And again, choosing the right annuity depends on you and what your income needs are. But reach out to me on that. So right now, and I want to just briefly talk about my topic of the day. Okay. My topic of the day is people want to be lied to, y'all. I've come to the conclusion that when you tell people the truth, people can't accept it. I always say, like us as colored people, we have the three D's. We're either on the defensive, we're in denial, or we're always deflecting. It's one of those threes when you tell people the truth. Sometimes when you tell people the truth, they'll be like, oh no, that's your opinion. But some things ain't opinion, some things are fact. Some, especially when more than one person is saying it, it's facts. But people sometimes want to deny what you're saying, or they get on the defensive because nobody wants correction. You know, a fool doesn't want correction. It's in the Bible. Look it up. A fool doesn't want correction. Anybody who wants to grow, wants to become a better person, sometimes you don't like certain things, but you accept it. It's just like when your parents told you certain things. You didn't like your parents telling you things, but you realized later on that what your parents said was true. But those was your parents, but you didn't like it because you didn't like how they said it. And as grown people, I'm finding that a lot of people, regardless of their age, whether they're 40, 50, 60, or 70, they're still so immature. There's a lot of immature adults around that want to be lied to. People don't want to be told the truth. When the truth comes out, people think people are being harsh, but the truth is the truth. Regardless of what it is, it's the truth. And I wish that as grown people, we will be more accepted to the truth rather to a lie. You know, people would easily believe a lie, but they would investigate the truth. Like if somebody come and says something, and if it's something negative, you easily believe it. But if it's something positive, oh, you don't want to accept it. It just depends on the person, the circumstances, or situation. The only thing that I'm saying is as we become older and we're supposed to becoming wiser, but to be honest with you, everybody that's getting old ain't growing wise. People are still stuck in their teenage years mentally, and they're doing the same thing they doing today as they were doing when they were high school. And again, the lack of maturity and growth amongst people is rapid. And the lack of being responsible and being mature is just rapid as well too. It's just as I sit back and I conversate with people and I look at people and my peers and so many other people, even when I look on social media, I be saying to myself, what is really going on in our mind? Because your mindset determines everything about your life. What's in your life and what's going on in your world right now is an accumulation of your thoughts, your movements, your ideas, and your actions. But one of the things I also know that as a people, you will never, never get from where you are if you don't grow mentally and maturely. If you don't accept accountability, if you want to continue to be lied to just to appease you and to not hurt your feelings, to spare your feelings. Sometimes you need your feathers to be ruffled in order for you to grow. Sometimes you need to be, shaken and out of your comfort zone in order for you to grow. And the thing about it is, though, is like I said, people want to be lied to. You tell people a lie, they smile, they want to go with it. That's just like if some men walk into a bar and they lie to a woman and tell her everything that she want to hear, and then he take her home that night, and then she find out the next day it was all a lie. No, he told her what she wanted to say. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just using that as an example, and I'm just saying even in other circumstances and situations, people want to be lied to. Nobody wants the truth these days. Tell people a lie and they'll easily believe it. Tell them the truth and they're going to challenge you on it. You know, so what does that show? It shows a lack of maturity amongst grown people and a lack of growth. People don't act their age, y'all. They act their shoe size. People don't want to be told the truth because the moment you tell them the truth, they want to deflect, deny, and be on the defensive. So I'm just saying to you as a person, as you analyze and speak to your people and speak to your friends and your families, watch the behavior of them. Watch when you know how people respond to certain things. You'll never grow maturely if you don't accept responsibility and accountability. And again, so many people want to be lied to. It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. But that's the world we live in. But anybody who knows me know that I'm like Honest Abe. I speak the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God, in all things that I do. Some people don't like it, but guess what? I'm not here to be liked. And I'm not going to be liked by everyone anyway. That's a known fact. No matter who you are, you're not going to be loved and liked by everyone, and you're not going to be hated by everyone. You just have to continue to be you. And the one thing that I'm going to do is continue to tell the truth. Because again, when you're in a world where so many people like to be lied to, you got to stick out. And that's what I do. All right, y'all. I'll come back with my recap in 1, 2, 3 seconds. All right. Before I sign off, I want to first say happy Valentine's Day to everyone. I hope that everyone have a great weekend. On Monday, it's a holiday, so chill on Monday if you can, but get out today, tomorrow, Sunday if you can as well. So, and again, follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Threads, Snapchat, YouTube, Pinterest, and TikTok. So again, I was talking about the pros and cons of renting versus buying. Bottom line is it is more feasible to buy than it is rent, because when you're renting, you're throwing away money and you don't know what you're getting yourself caught into these days when a lot of landlords are not paying their mortgage for whatever reason. It's getting a lot of tenants in a bad predicament. And I just talked about people want to be lied to, y'all. You all know it. Go tell a lie. Watch how easily people believe it. And tell them the truth, and people ain't going to believe it. It's too good to be true. Listen, in life, some things are too good to be true because God made each and one of us as individuals, and some people are one in a million. It's just, it is what it is. But I'm not going to hold you. I want you to enjoy this Friday the 13th. Please, if you can't go out, hey, why don't you watch the movie Friday the 13th? Do something that's going to entertain you this weekend. But if you have loved ones, especially fellas, please, 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 to all the ladies in your life, at least tell them you love them, give them flowers, that you're thinking about them. You have to make an effort. I don't care if they pissed you off. You have to do something, because guess what? If you don't show them that you love them, they're going to expect the same as the world to them. And you got to stick out in this world, fellas, especially with the ones that you love, all the women that you love. So, as always, I'm going to end it with my commercial. Y'all have a great weekend, and I'll see you next Friday.
We sure could use the money.
Time for some upgrades. We're pregnant.
Oh my goodness, I need to downsize.
We buy houses for cash as is.
Damon the Agent. A name you can trust.